Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Hess, and today we're going to keep building out this Power App that we were working on last week. So if you're new here, for every week on Monday at 9 a.m. I'm going to release a new video, and we're going to keep building out this app from blank. All right, so we created this, I like to call it our vision, but it's really a wireframe for our Power App. And I want to talk about the importance of this. Giving ourselves a vision of what the app could look like in the future is huge. We really need to focus on, solving the problem for the reason we're creating the Power App. But I also want to quote Jeff Bezos. We need to be stubborn on our vision, but we need to be flexible on the details. All right, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new button up here. So I'm just going to copy paste the inspection button, and it's going to go to screen 3. So it's going to go to screen 3 now, and then it's going to do new form on form 2. So now if we just click on, let's see, we also want to change the text on it. So the text is going to say new customer. So now if we press play, we have our form and we can type on it, and it's going to add the two fields together to create full name. So the main part I wanted to work on today was on the new inspection form. I want the customer names to come from that SharePoint list that it's writing to. So if we go to SharePoint and we look at that customer tenant list, you can see I have a few in here. So I have 3 customer tenants that are in my SharePoint list. Let's change this customer tenant text box to a combo box. So what do we need to do? We want to delete this text box here. So you need to come to the Advanced on the right side here, Advanced tab, and unlock it first. Then I'm just going to delete that text box. And I'm going to insert my own combo box. I'm going to insert my own combo box here, make sure it takes up most of the entire space. And for the combo box, the data source, let's see if we can get it to pop up. The data source, we're going to do the customer tenant list. Okay, and now for the red X's, let's check out the red X's here. It's looking at data card value 3, but we replaced it with a combo box, and that's combo box 1. So I'm just going to come up here where it says data card value 3 and do combo box 1.y. And the same thing right here for the height. Oop, let me see if I can get that right. We want to copy, paste, so combo box 1.y, combo box 1.height. And for the other red X, it's saying the update property. This is how it saves a SharePoint is off. So I'm going to delete this entirely. Say combo box 1.selected, and what do we want to update in there? The full name. So that was our calculated field. Now, if you notice, we do have an issue here, and it's probably going to say we have a delegation issue. So this is a delegation warning on the search part of our combo box. So I'm going to come over to the right side over here, fields, and do edit. And right now, the primary text, if we press play, it's bringing up, IDs that are not showing. Let's change the combo box. I'm going to click on it again, the combo box. On the far right side, on the edit, I'm going to change this from primary text. I'm going to change it to full name. And the search field will do full name too. All right, so now we have the full names in there. Now this does leave us a delegation issue, but it's okay. But let's double check and check it out. So if you come into settings of your Power App, and a lot of people run into this when they use a SharePoint data source or even Excel. I don't recommend using Excel. But you'll notice right here we have a data row limit, and yours will probably actually say 500. You can increase this to 2,000. That can be your data row limit of 2,000 if you use an out-of-the-box, I wouldn't say out-of-the-box, but if you use a SharePoint data source, or a data source that's not delegable. So some rows may not be retrieved. So in order to fix that, there's things we can do. So let's go, and it depends on where you want to do it too. We're going to create a collection, and we're going to create a very simple one. So I'm going to go back to screen 1, and every time you navigate to the screen, we're going to collect the customer database or SharePoint list. So I'm going to go to the on visible. This is going to help us get rid of that error. So on the on visible of this screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear collect. And I'm going to create a collection. This is the name that I give it, of customers. Collection customers. And what am I going to collect? I'm just going to collect the customer tenant SharePoint list. That's all I'm doing. So I'm going to collect the entire customer tenant SharePoint list. And now when I go back to screen, is it 2? Let's see. Screen 2, and we look at customer name, in new inspection, instead of the items being the customer tenant, we're going to connect it to our collection, customers. And so now on this combo box, let's select the combo box. We're using the items of collection customers. Go to edit fields. Let's re-click full name again. And that error went away. So now we're using that collection that we're collecting, and it's still pulling in the same data from SharePoint. Now, I'm not going to say that the collection is fully delegable. It's not fully delegable, but there's other ways around that. But for this video, we're not going to get into that today. But for right now, for my issues of seeing that error, the error is gone. So now we can fill out a new customer. So let's fill out a new customer. And the new customer will be, let's see, Hermione Granger. And so we have some phone numbers in here if we want to. And now we can save. So now when we come back to this screen and we see our dropdown and we click on new inspection, in the dropdown, you'll see we now have that new person in there. Now for right now, we can only have 2,000 that's searchable. So the search function there is not searchable above 2,000. So right now we could search up to 2,000 people with the delegation issues. But let's just leave that for now and let's work on location names. So I want to create another button. And this one is going to be our location. So this is going to be new location. All right, so we're going to have new location. We're going to create a new screen. It'll just be a blank screen for now. And we're going to insert an edit form on the locations data source. All right, so we have our location form. Just going to move it over. I'm going to delete attachments because I don't want attachments. So now that we have our locations form, now we need to insert a button. And this button is going to save for us. The text is going to save. And on the on select of the button, we're going to submit form, and this is form 3. But if you remember from last week, that main thing that I really like to do is on the advanced properties. On the form advanced properties, on success, I like to navigate back to screen 1 on a fade. All right, so let's go ahead and fill one out. We can go back to our screen 1. We have a new location. On the on select, we're going to do a new form on form 3. Then on screen 4, we're going to navigate. So here's a tip. You can also hold down the Alt button and it'll allow you to interact with your form. So I'm holding down Alt right now, the Alt key. And then I can just click on new location. All right, so let's say for the area, let's say it's a, I don't know, Capitol building. 1, 2, 3 here, street. I'm just making up some things. And the type is a public building. I'll just hit save. So now on that new inspection form, let's do the same thing. I'm going to go to the location name. I'm going to unlock it. I'm going to unlock it on advanced right here. I'm going to delete the text box. I'm going to insert a dropdown, or actually a combo box. This combo box is going to use our locations SharePoint list. It's going to give us the delegation issue. We're going to first fix the red X's. Okay, so to fix the errors, now we're going to change this to Combobox 2. Change this to Combobox 2. Now we fixed the first error. The second error is we're going to change the update property to Combobox2.selected, and this time we're going to do title. We're going to say title because that's what we want to pull in. So now if we press play, You can see we have the titles in here. It's bringing in the address. So let's click on the combo box, go to edit fields on the right side. Instead of address, we're going to title, press play. So now we see our titles in there. Now we want to fix that delegation issue. This is just a temporary fix. I'm going to go back on the main screen here, on the on visible property of screen 1. I'm going to do another collection. So I'm going to do a semicolon, clear collection locations, the locations. We're just going to change the data source for collection location. We're going to edit the fields as title. So now we don't see that delegation issue in there. We press play. We have our customer names, and we should have our locations. Let's make sure we go back into new inspection, and we have our locations in there. So now you can see these are now connected to each other. So for the action item, let's just say fix the ceiling fan. With the date, we can choose a date. The customer name, Hermione Granger. The location is the Capitol building. And the status is needs fixed, or I'm not sure what the status is. We can change it to a drop-down also. The category is at risk. We can change the date. Observation is fan is hanging off the wall. And we can just click save. So now we can see we have this row in our list. So you can see that my categories and my statuses did not match up, right? So we have need fix, we have warnings, we have caution. So let's go back to that inspection list again. So we're going to do the same thing with the customer name and location name. Now it's status. We're going to replace it with a dropdown. I'm going to unlock it to advanced. Unlock it. I'm going to delete the text box here. I'm going to insert a dropdown this time. Insert a dropdown. In this dropdown, the items, I'm going to manually write these in. I'm going to do a square bracket where the status are, let's say, caution, warning, and clear. How about that? So now in our dropdown, we have those 3 different options. So now let's fix the red X's. So for the first red X, it's looking at the data card value 5, which we deleted, and it's now renamed to dropdown 1. So we'll just do dropdown 1. Dropdown 1. Oh, dropdown 1 here, dropdown 1 here. And now for the update property, it's dropdown 1.selected.value. Okay, so that's all there is there. So no category. Let's change that one also. And I'm going to unlock it, delete it, insert dropdown. The dropdown is going to have which items? It's going to have public building. I'm not sure what all my options were. Apartment item property. Okay, so let's just do that. Apartment. And I don't know, let's say item. So now in the red X's, we're just going to fix these again. Drop down 2. Here again, drop down 2. This red X is going to, the update property is going to be dropdown.selected.value. Now, if you notice, I made all of my fields in SharePoint single line text, but in Power Apps, I converted them to dropdowns and combo boxes. The reason is, when I want to come back and edit this Power App, I don't want to do the edits on the SharePoint side. I don't want to come to my data source and change a field to a category, right? That's going to cause me all kinds of headache. I'm just going to keep it a single line text in my data source, but on my front end, on my Power App, now I can say, oh, I want a new dropdown. Well, I can add another one here. So maybe there's a new category. I'm going to come to Power Apps, and I'm going to add a new category for house. And that's how I want to update my Power App in the future, is I want to do all the work on the Power App side, not on the SharePoint data source side. That's just my opinion. That's my preference. That's how I do it. All right, so we have a full working Power App now with 3 different screens. I'm going to move these buttons to the left side. So this is where our left side navigation is going to be. We have our nice form. I'm going to, change this a little bit too. So the fields here, so I'm going to go right here behind this one. I'm going to move this field right here to the left a little bit. That way I can click on this entire row. I'm going to go to template fill. Template fill, and I'm going to say if this item dot is selected, then I'm going to do two different colors. I'm just going to copy that RGBA and paste it twice. So if it is selected, I'm going to give it a 1 on the final number. The final number is the alpha value. I'm going to say 255. For the green, I'm going to say 225. For the blue, I'm going to say 225. That kind of gives me that red color. Maybe we wanted a little more red, so I'll lower these second 2 numbers. 201. 201. There we go. So now it's highlighting the line item that I select. So that's there. Now I want to make this gallery look even better. So I'm going to go to the status field. So I have 3 statuses. So right now I have 3 statuses, although one is in here as need fixed. We're going to change that in a little. But what I want to do is I want to make like a stoplight. I want to make a stoplight. So I'm going to insert a circle. I'm going to insert a circle in my status field here. And maybe I'm going to make it a little smaller. I don't like it taking up the entire space. So I'm going to say the width is 40, the height is 40. Well, let's go 35. Let's go 30, 30. 30, 30. 5 width. Oh, there we go. I like it just like that. So now on this circle, I'm going to change the fill property. I'm going to go to fill. And right now it looks like it's a blue color. But what I'm going to do is there's 3 different options. I'm going to say, and then you could do this in an if statement if you wanted to. So we could go over an if statement, or we could do this in a switch statement. So when I Google an if statement, you can see here we have if and switch functions. Pretty much they're very close to the same. You see you can have if condition, then result, then condition 2, then result 2, and etc. I find that more difficult. If you want to do an if statement, do true or false. If there's more than 2 options, do a switch statement. So a switch statement is matching result 1 to match 1, result 2 to result 2, result match 3 to result 3. So it goes further and further down. So you can see the if statements, but the switch statement is what I want to do. So let's build out a switch statement. So on this circle, on the fill property, I'm going to say switch. And what are we switching on? If this, let's say status, this item.status, if this item.status is equal to caution, we want it to be color.yellow. And let's just end the parentheses there. All right, so now if it's caution, it's yellow. But then we do another comma. If it's warning, then it's color.red. You see that? Now, if it's, what was the status? Let's check it out. The last status was a new inspection, clear. If it's clear, then it's color.green. All right, and then I'm going to delete the text field right here. Delete that text field. So now we're just left with that stoplight that we have here for our status. Now, on top of that, we notice that I have a status that didn't really match. So we want to be able to edit. So in order to edit a line item, we need to do something different. Right now, we can only create new inspections. We can only create a new inspection. But let's say we want to edit one. So I'm going to move over, give myself a little bit more space. I'm going to move over the ID. And we're going to insert a pencil tool, and it's called edit. So edit icon right here. So this edit icon, what is it going to do? On the on select of the edit icon, it's going to select the parent. You want to keep that in there. That means it's selecting the row we're on. So that's selecting this one. It's selecting this one, selecting this one. That's what that means. It's selecting the row that we're on. So now on the pencil tool, after that, we're going to do edit form of our form 1. And then it's going to navigate us to our screen 2 on a fade. Now you would think that would be all you need to do, but that's not it. There's one more thing we need to do. So now when I click on it, let's say fan hanging off the wall, and I click edit, you notice that it's blank. What we need to do is come to this form here, and on the items property, item, we need to say, hey, the item is whatever we selected in our gallery. So gallery 1, that's selected, and that's it. So our gallery 1, if you take a look at it, is right here. This is our gallery 1. So whatever we have selected in our gallery is the one that we edit. So we go fan hanging off the wall. We change the status to clear. We hit save. It then updates that line item. So now we can edit our line items. Isn't that beautiful? So now we have 3 forms. We have added a stoplight. We have categories. We have locations. Let's say we wanted a location in here. Library and Andrew Hess. We'll save. So we have that in there. Now there's one more thing that I wanted to do. And if you notice that when you come in here to edit, it's not displaying the default property. That's because we changed it to a dropdown. So on the, or a combo box. So on this combo box, the default selected item. All right, so in the default selected items property, we have to be very careful. We're going to do the squiggly bracket. And what is it that we're pulling in for the, let's see, the customer name? It's the full name. And this is in the gallery 1 dot selected dot customer name. So we're mapping it to the name of it in, so let's check that out in the inspection power app right here in the customer tenant. It's called full name. You can see it's called full name. In the inspections table, it's called customer name. So from the customer table, it's full name. From the inspection table, it's customer name. And you're kind of just matching those two together. So for locations, this one is the title, right? So in our locations, list, it's called title. In our inspection list, it's called location name. So here we're going to say title, wiggly bracket title, is equal to the gallery 1 dot selected dot location name. Let's see if I can spell location right. There we go. So let's fix the default on the status also. So the default property, and notice this is not default selected items. This is default. It has it as 1, so that's saying the first one on the dropdown. But that's incorrect. It's going to be gallery 1 dot selected dot, what are we under? We're under status. Okay? Same thing in category. Default, it's gallery 1 dot selected dot category. All right, so now let's double check our work. When flooring was damaged, let's check this out. Flooring was damaged was the observation. The customer name, will change it to Hermione Granger in the Capitol building. We'll come back into it. It's still Hermione Granger on the Capitol building. The status correct is the house is correct. The flooring was damaged. We'll come into this one. It's Andrew Hess at the home office. I'll just click save again. I'm just kind of double checking, going back in. Everything looks clear. Everything's matching up correctly. So that's what you need to do in order to pull in the default properties. It can get a little confusing at first, but just take your time. No, I went very fast. There are ways that it can break. So watch this. If I change customer name, and maybe you looked this up, maybe I change this to value. So on the second one, I'm going to click save. I'm going to come back in. Notice it's blank now. But when we change this back to full name, change it back to full name, and we go to Andrew Hess and we click save, come back in, then it's correctly working. So there's little bits of errors that maybe you find online that may not work correctly. Try and find out the right one that works for you. Now, another thing, if you're doing modern, it's different. So this is just for classic Power Apps right now, and this is just for the out-of-the-box form. All right, so my name is Andrew Hess. Hopefully this was helpful. I am working on like my recording studio, so I'm trying to get my sound right, my video right. Things are changing. Feel free to let me know if you think something is off. I'm working on it, but next week we're going to work on filters. We're going to try and filter our gallery, filter our drop-downs, maybe add a search to our gallery, and kind of go from there. So that's the plan from next week. So my name is Andrew Hess. I'll see you next time. Thank you.